Alrighty, hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Outside the Numbers podcast. I am Shelby Allen,
I'm Ethan Manjuri.
and today we're going to be looking at a little bit of exciting news and then getting into not a full mock draft, but kind of our basic assessment of the top 18 or so picks in the NFL draft. If there's going to be any potential trades, based down team needs by position. So we'll get into all that later, but let's start with the only real headline of the week that that Odell Beckham Jr. is finally signing the papers. I don't know the amount yet, but he has signed a deal with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, it's just a 1 year, but it's definitely a move that seems like they're trying to satisfy the desires of the quarterback they're trying to keep.
Now, call me crazy, but does this not to you feel a little bit like the Des Bryant thing?
A little bit. It feels a lot like the Baker Mayfield thing. Like this is how long OBJ has been like the receiver you bring in to try to turn your franchise around.
And then I guess the last time he did it, it worked in Los Angeles. So
Kinda, but then he just got hurt and now he's in Baltimore.
yeah, he's not your long term answer.
No, so
sure.
it's like to me. I don't know how much I like the move actually for the Ravens, but it seems like they're thinking the correct way. I just think they might have. I don't know. I don't think OBJ's worth all the hype anymore, as far as like being a number one guy. So I don't know. It's interesting. He could be good, but I don't think he has a full season in him anymore.
Yeah, and it's if you're really trying to get Lamar to say, "Hey, sign up for 4 years, 5 years. Here's an old receiver for 1 year."
Yeah.
I don't know what got lost in translation, but then immediately we get a screenshot of him and Lamar on FaceTime. They both look reasonably happy.
So that's part of my thing with OBJ. I feel like he's fake swag now. Ever since the boat pick.
He's friends with everyone.
It
is outrageous. Like on Twitter,
Yeah.
like I feel like he's friends with every NFL player to the point where it's like, how is that possible? And then he obviously that comes up basically with every team that is thinking about signing him. It's like, oh,
I got so many friends over there.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
But I would not have expected him to go to Baltimore. Maybe they're telling Lamar, we're going to get you somebody in the draft. Here's Odell as well, but man, clock is ticking.
Right, but that's kind of how it is. He's like a down payment almost,
right?
To try and get Lamar to stay. So I don't think he's. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I don't think he's the guy.
No, I don't think so either. And Brandon Cooks was available, and I think Odell's older than Brandon Cooks. Is that I believe by a year
I think
or so.
so. I think so.
But regardless, production-wise, he at least doesn't get injured every 6 games when he tries to get on the field. So, yeah, don't want to be a Ravens fan. Don't want to be the Ravens front office trying to negotiate. And weird vibes for Baltimore. The only other bit of news that's come out this week is Adam Schefter talking about teams contacting the Cardinals about that number 3 overall pick in the draft. Do you have a team that you'd like to see make that move, that you think has the potential to make that move?
I mean, like I would like if the Saints could somehow get a first round pick. That'd be cool.
What would y'all have to give?
We don't have anything to get. That's what I'm saying. We're so broke right now. But I don't know. I would like to say Detroit, but they don't need. Like you need to think about what teams, like what kind of players go in the top 3 picks, right? And then so what teams are needing those types of players, and it's usually like the high skill players, receivers, running backs, or quarterbacks. And so I feel like
edge rushers.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the Falcons really need a quarterback, I think.
Well, it's interesting you brought up the Lions. They seem to have some.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the Lions, and they've got 2 picks in the first round, and they need a quarterback. And I don't think either pick is close enough to get him a quarterback.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
But man, dude, they could trade. I mean, think about it. If they were to give up a second And think about like the
in the
Cardinals, right?
sixth.
They'd be trading down from sixth overall pick to the third overall pick. You give the Cardinals your sixth overall pick. They only move down three spots, and then you give them maybe a third or a second.
Right, and we have the Cardinals, at or that their biggest need is O line, which is a position that you can find easily at six.
Totally could get a
So
sixth. Maybe even could get at the Lions' next pick at 18. You might still be
you
able to
could,
get
yeah, yeah.
some line talent there.
So that's, I mean, I could see that happening, just because that is the jump from 6 to 3. You think it's only like, you think it's only three positions to jump, but it's like there's some big players that'll be gone between 3 and 6. So
And the indication, it feels like it's going to be one and two are going to be quarterbacks in some order,
mhm.
right? And I think as soon as there's a trade, we're looking at immediately it's going to be one, two, three, all quarterbacks. And so the Cardinals don't need a quarterback. We could see the Colts. I mean, the Colts are at 4. If they want the Cardinals to stay at 3, because that means they're probably going to get one of the top 3 quarterbacks.
Right,
The
right,
Raiders are at 7. They're right in that territory too.
yeah. I don't know how much they have to give up other than that pick.
And you don't want to give up Devonte Adams if you're
No.
bringing in a quarterback.
Right.
That's probably their only
Yeah,
first
that's
round
their.
value player.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess if we're already talking about it, let's go through team by team. I've got the top 18, and then we've got a bunch of prospects. So let's start filling in the gaps here. First overall pick, Carolina Panthers. It felt like when they made the move, everybody came out and said, this is clearly them trying to go after Bryce Young. And then
Hmm.
as a couple of weeks go by, more and more people start talking about it maybe being CJ Stroud. And then I'm on CBS earlier, and they've got Anthony Richardson going one. So it seems like nobody knows. There's a lot of like they're attending every pro day. The Panthers are sending somebody to every pro day. There's total uncertainty for what feels like the first time in many drafts where we really don't know the first overall pick, besides that we know what position it's going to be.
Right. Yeah. No, it is very interesting. There's a very good quarterback class in this year's draft. For Carolina, I feel like they're gonna go C.J. Stroud. Actually, that's what I've been thinking ever since they made the move to get the first. It just kind of makes a little more sense, I think.
Now, why do you say that? Is it the size of Bryce Young that you're thinking about? I know there's been a lot of concern there.
Being that he's a lot smaller than C.J.
Mm-hmm. They're
Yeah.
just shorter,
Yeah.
maybe smaller hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so
As
yeah,
somebody
I
who
mean, you
watched
put
Drew Brees for
C.J.'s
15 years, you're probably
right.
all right.
Dude
You're
would
fine with the
had
shorter
to
quarterback.
look through the bottom of his face mask. Uh, but yeah, and I don't know, maybe it's the history with having Cam. I think about bigger dudes playing for
Right.
Carolina, but that's maybe what it is. But I think typically in the NFL, it's better to have a bigger quarterback, especially now.
So we have the Panthers need like positional need as quarterback. You think they go C.J. Stroud? I'm
Mhm.
pretty comfortable with that. I'd have a hard time making an argument for Bryce Young. So we look at the next team. We got the Houston Texans. We have their positional need as everything. They are genuinely without a star in the building. Besides, I guess D'Amico Ryan's as head coach. It feels like everybody's really excited about that, but they just don't have they don't have anybody to build around.
Yeah, I mean it's a ghost land over there for sure. So I think they're just gonna take best player available.
That's yeah. I've heard some people saying not quarterback. So if they're not looking at quarterback, where does that leave them in terms of best talent?
Probably Will Anderson, right? That he's that edge.
And then where do you want to? I mean, they don't pick. They don't have to. Or they do. They actually do have. They've got the 12th pick
Hmm.
as well. So they have an opportunity if they want to go
Save that for quarterback.
save that for quarterback or quarterback at 2 and then like an offensive lineman at 12. That feels like such a solid if you can make a little bit
Yeah,
of progress there. But I also definitely get the move that's like just get the best available talent. It feels like
Yeah,
nothing can save them. So I'm just trying to think,
right.
what really is in the best interest of their future past this upcoming season.
And see, and I don't think if you save quarterback for the 12th pick, or I mean, like, so I don't think they're gonna go line on both of these. If they keep both of them, they could try to do what we were talking about with Detroit and move up and take Carolina's third.
Totally, man. Yeah, they could move back in the first round, still have two first round picks,
Mm-hmm.
get somebody like well, they wouldn't be able to get what's his face Will. They wouldn't be able to get Will Anderson that late, but they could move back and still get
Right.
like a Paris Johnson, Darnell Wright, some top O line talent in the first round with the two picks. It feels like there's a lot more teams than usual of late with two first round picks. Am I crazy?
No,
Like Lions and Jets in these last couple of years, I just don't remember that happening as much until recently. But it's been working out,
me
man. The
neither. But
Jets,
yeah, and there's two of them this time.
yeah,
That's
Lions a couple of years ago, and now they're almost a playoff team. So yeah, so we don't know. But the Texans, if we had to put a name on it, what do you feel most comfortable doing?
let's say they don't trade up. They keep their number 2 and number 12. I seriously think they go offensive skill player with the second and take a quarterback.
Okay,
And
maybe a
they
Will
might,
Levis.
maybe. I think I was thinking that or Anthony Richardson.
I think they'd be pretty happy to get Anthony Richardson at what is it at 12? I don't
12.
know.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing
It's
I was going to
dicey.
say when you said if they go edge or O line with two. It's risky. It's very risky. I mean, the Falcons are still out there, and the Raiders are in between. So they're both looking for quarterbacks. And there's like, it's just Bryce Young and then Anthony Richardson, the next two top
Right.
quarterback prospects, right? So it's risky to wait till 12 to see if you can get him. And then at that point, who's even the next quarterback?
Well, like yeah, Levis, and then there's a bit of a drop off. I feel like it's you've got Stroud, Young, and Richardson, and then a gap, and then Levis, and then another gap before we really
Right.
start to get to yeah, serviceable, draftable quarterbacks. Yeah, it's literally maybe even third round of a gap from like Will Levis to the
Right.
next quarterback. So
So if you
yeah,
want
if you
the
don't get on
quarterback, you
early,
need to take it in the second pick because it's too risky to lose out on the big name prospects with the 12th. And then by the 12th, you'll still be able to get a good either offensive lineman or edge rusher.
totally. I think that's the direction they should go. Quarterback it to tackle or a guard or something
Mm-hmm.
at 12, and then if not, hit a trade because ultimately you're not losing that much if you weren't going to get a quarterback anyway. And to me, they
Right.
feel self-aware as a franchise. Like I think they know. I think they're willing to give D'Amico Ryan's 2024 as well. If you're looking, unless this goes somehow, no, there's literally not even a bar. They have set the
There's
bar.
no bar.
Aside from like 0-17, I really don't think it's possible that they could bottom out so much as to move on from their coach. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you're not getting quarterback, get out of there. Don't pick. Don't make that pick at two unless there's no team willing to trade. Which, according to Schefter's report, there's like 6 teams trying to trade up. So that they would have no trouble doing that. Cardinals up next if they don't trade. We have their biggest positional need as offensive line, but they're honestly kind of close to some of these teams where you say they need everything
Yeah.
because Kyler Murray is just so uncertain in terms of injury consistency,
Yep.
and they haven't been helped by Hopkins being injured, and he doesn't have a ton of targets. But where do you think they trade out? Because they're probably not ready to move on from Kyler. It's not a
Yeah,
quarterback
that's what I was thinking.
situation.
They're not going to move on from him yet. He's got at least another year with them, I think. But I mean, he's he's a little guy. You gotta be able to protect him and give him time and a good pocket because he can't. I mean, it's just the fact of the matter is he can't see over them. Like,
this is correct.
like he needs.
It is true.
It's,
Is the case.
it's just unfortunate. So
Yeah.
you need to stack that offensive line so that he has space if that's the route you're going, and it seems like it is the route they're going with him. So I think they have, yeah, we've got it right there. Let's see, we have Darnell Wright from
So
Tennessee
you
early
can
up.
stay there and concretely pick who you believe to be the best O lineman, and of course that it's always going to be somewhat of a crapshoot with offensive line talent. Really, I mean, just the draft in general. There's so many
Mm-hmm.
first round busts that you just never hear of again. So you're not even guaranteed to, just by having the first offensive lineman drafted, it still couldn't work out for you.
Right.
So I think I don't know about you. I feel like in the same way as the Texans, it's like just I don't know, move out, get some value, and then come back and probably still get a first round talent at offensive line, maybe a few picks later. This is how we
Yeah.
avoid actually
Yeah.
doing a mock draft. We just have like one player and then trade. We've picked one guy to go so far. I don't know what we want to do, but Colts are up next. They need a quarterback, and just man, there is going to be there are going to be trades night of
Yeah.
for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, we've seen a few weird ones over the last couple of years. We've seen the Titans willingly give away their best, arguably player besides Derrick Henry, and AJ Brown for
Yeah.
for not a lot of value. We've seen weird stuff, but there is too much. There's way too much imbalance of teams that don't need quarterback like right up high, and teams that need a quarterback right behind them, and it's there's going to be some movement. But if the Colts stay there and somehow only one of these two teams ends up picking a quarterback, and they still have a Richardson or a Stroud or a Young, how do you see them going, or do you think they're still in on the Lamar push?
I'm starting to think Lamar's not going anywhere.
I
As much like I know it's not any fun. I know it's not any fun.
I'm gonna lose it.
But I like. There's been no. I would have expected something to have happened by now.
Yeah, no, I mean
And
I agree
like
with you. It's just I
nothing
hate
coming
it.
out, and then they go and get OBJ. So I don't think the Colts are still in the Lamar, whatever you would call
Market.
it, market.
Yeah.
Yes, the Lamar market, the La market.
Nice trademark.
Yeah, but going quarterback, I do see, and I don't know because I already think CJ is going to be gone. I don't think they're going to skip over Bryce Young and get anyone else. So I think they're going to end up getting him if they stay
That
there.
seems fair. Yeah. Yeah, and it feels like you mean if they didn't stay there, it'd be not moving back, but trying to jump up. Uh, I mean, I guess maybe moving back, but trying to get one of those 2 pick or 3 pick from the Texans.
Yeah, I mean it depends on how much they can get for 4
Right.
if they would move back. But I would, yeah, imagine.
I mean,
I don't know.
am I crazy? Is there a quarterback currently employed by the Indianapolis Colts? I'm gonna feel bad if it's somebody that I should know.
Let me see. I can't think of anybody.
My mind goes blank. It because like when I think of Indianapolis Colts starting quarterback, it's like a total mush of like
Oh, they
Jacoby
have Nick
Brissett,
Foles.
Carson Wentz, and oh
It
shoot,
says
yeah, I forgot
it
him.
says Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew, and Sam Ellinger is what
Wow.
this is saying. That is
So
a
I was
room.
not being forgetful. That they simply just don't
That
have
is
anything.
quite a quarterback room,
Shoot, man.
dude. That's really
Do you risk not being
that's
able to
pretty
get one of the
bad.
top 3 quarterbacks if your quarterback room is that bad? I mean, you might have to hop up to 2. And that is horrendous.
That's
Genuinely
really.
bad.
I mean, because there's a chance that top 3 teams just take the top 3 quarterbacks, and now you're
They
left.
get stuck. They would have to choose if they would have picked Will Levis or just blow it up. What is happening, man? That is tough.
That's That's a. I didn't even realize that. That's really funny.
That's
That
really
is
bad,
quite
man.
a like with the history that Nick Foles has had. His like half a season of, or just the playoffs of fame,
Right. No.
and then
And at this
Minshew.
age, I don't even know if he has one of those left in him. I mean, it's
Yeah,
usually like
no,
he'll do it with the team when he shows up, but no, it looks like it's over for that.
Minshew. People liked him for his mustache for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, not much. And
Yeah,
then Sam Ellinger, Texas boy, or yeah, Texas boy.
I think we saw him a bit. I think we saw like I don't know if we got a start out of him, but he definitely saw some time in the regular season last year, and it was nothing to get your like franchise hopes up about. So
No.
they're in a weird spot. Although you know what's funny is that the Commanders basically had the same thing happen, and they're in pretty much the exact same situation with Sam Howell, except he did have one decent game, but since it was against the Cowboys, it's like a legendary game that will be remembered for decades to come, where they beat the Cowboys in a meaningless Week 18 matchup, and now he's their starting quarterback. So
Uh-huh.
they're in a situation almost as bad as the Colts, and they don't have any leverage. They're not going to get anything close to a first round for Chase Young, even though
No.
if you said that a year ago, you'd be, people would call you crazy. You couldn't really even get one for McLaurin if you're trying to get a quarterback. They have, yeah,
Well, and their pick
they are
isn't
in a
until
horrible place.
16.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to get
So
anybody. It would be a miracle if they got Levis. And dude, that's brutal. There are some teams out there that are just
yeah, that's just
floating along.
jeez, that's tough.
Yeah, yeah, not a
To
good
just
look.
be, you're really just stuck,
And then
and you
and
get
then
to
you look at a
watch
team
everybody
like
that you need get picked.
then you look at a team like Seattle that just goes and gets Geno Smith on a fly. It just like
Yeah.
turns out it gets them to the playoffs. This is man, this league, man. But I tell you what, we're at this pace. We're not going to clock well. Let's hit a couple
Oh,
more
jeez.
teams and then bring it back next week. Let's talk
Okay.
Las
Okay.
Vegas Raiders. They need, sorry Jimmy G, they need a quarterback,
They do.
and they also
Took him.
need defensive tackle. We could have put them very easily in the everything category. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps they just should be. But they do have a. They've got. They tagged Josh
Josh
Jacobs at running back.
Jacobs. Yep.
They have Devontae Adams under contract, although he's not happy about Jimmy G according to cryptic Twitter activity. But they need a lot, and they're picking right behind the Lions. They're picking at 7th. And we skipped over the Lions. We can hop back to them in a second. They need. I don't know. Call me crazy. I just
I didn't
it
even
doesn't sound
notice.
that. Yeah, we could have breezed over it. I don't think anybody would have
Yeah.
thought
No.
too much of it. But yeah, they need somebody. There, it would be really nice if they were able to draft a quarterback. Is there any chance that they get one of those three?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it
I
does
don't
not
think
look
so.
like it.
Because then, yeah, no, and then it's gonna be Washington way down there, watching the Raiders take Levis,
You
whatever
know,
his name is.
they and the Lions, I think, fall in a category where maybe they start thinking about Jalen Carter.
Okay.
Because I know, there's been some news, right, about Jalen Carter with there were some questionable headlines. Am I crazy?
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Okay, so yeah, no, I think that might be the type of thing where he was projected to go a little higher, and then he somehow falls to one of them at 6 or 7. I think either team would be
Well,
happy to have him.
if that's the case, it would definitely be the Raiders. They seem
Right,
to
that was
go.
why I thought
Yeah.
of him. I was like, yep, they do have a tendency, and I know I'm not one to talk, but yeah, they've got a little history in that sense. Lions, and then yeah, let's close out with the Lions, who, truly nobody would have thought that Jared Goff would uh, beat Aaron Rodgers in the final week of the season as a Detroit Lion to keep the Packers out of the playoffs. That was one of the wilder storylines.
that was a fun game too.
and it's almost to the point where, I mean, we talked to a Lions fan in Orlando when we went to the Guardians game, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted to push him. I wanted to get him to say like he thought Jared Goff could be long term, and he wasn't budging. He was just like, no,
no.
no, Bridge, nope. Uh, which is crazy to me because as I'm watching the Lions fan experience, and like I don't know if a guy comes along and gets you like a an almost winning record after all these years of chaos. I don't know. I would be willing to see him out long term.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah, build
it's
around him. I
like I
mean,
mean he hasn't. Yeah, he's going up right now with your franchise. Like he's
it would
not.
never
His
happen, but
stock is.
I'd love to see Lamar to the Lions. It feels like they've
See,
got
that
the
wouldn't
first
even.
round pick from they've got two first round picks in this draft alone, and then they've got at least one next year. So that's three. They've already got a team minus Jamal Williams that pushed real close to the playoffs. Who would possibly? I mean, I know who would say no. Maybe maybe the Ravens, whatever. But if they, I feel like the Lions would sign off on giving away those three picks in a heartbeat.
For Lamar, yeah,
Yeah. Well,
probably.
I mean, his their whole their whole bid system was like the type of tag they put on them. It guarantees them two picks if somebody outbids them. So it's the same thing as last week we were talking about. You get an offer for three picks,
Hmm.
you consider it because you don't want to get screwed and end up with only two, and maybe the two you get are from the Patriots, whose picks. Well, I guess now the Patriots might have better first round picks than in previous years, but
Right.
some team that's not going to get you as good of a pick. Um, I don't know, man. That's just something I'd love to see.
That would be. I mean, that's just one of the like you can't even picture Lamar in a
Nope.
Lions
Just like Aaron
uniform.
Rodgers in a Jets uniform,
Yeah,
a
it
good
just doesn't
quarterback
look right.
doesn't line up. Yeah, but hey,
But
one
that'd
can
be.
dream.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. That'd be. Dang. Okay. Well, I hadn't really.
I just thought of it for the first time. It's not.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's not like I've
so
even
the
seen rumors or anything.
Texans also have two first round picks,
Yeah,
and then
dude,
one
that's
next year.
crazy. Just think about it. They could, in theory, let's see, who are these high picks? The Texans are a great candidate with the second overall pick, where
And the
the
12th.
Ravens could get a quarterback, and the 12th. So if they give the Ravens the 12th pick and the second pick, they get Lamar Jackson. Ravens get the second best quarterback, maybe the first best, depending on how things really
Right.
turn out, because they almost never turn out the way you expect them to. And I don't know, nobody seems to lose in that deal. So
That's. Hmm.
shoot, man,
Yeah,
all
that's
of that
really
more
interesting. Because
exciting than just thinking about him returning to the Ravens with
yeah, no, it's way more exciting. And then the Ravens front office gets their fresh start. Hmm.
something to think about.
Something to think
Something to
about.
think about.
Something to chew on.
I cannot wait for draft night, man. I feel like
It's
we're
gonna be
gonna get
yeah.
some
We should try
chaos.
to do some. We should try to do something live.
Oh, that would be
Like
so. Oh, shoot,
we
that'd be
can
fun.
launch it live on our Instagram or something.
Yeah,
That would
no,
be
that
fun.
sounds good. Watching yes, there's going to be. Oh, let's make a wager. Although I feels like we're both on the same side of this. I'm like, I want to bet something that there will be two first round picks traded. Some measure that we can bet on,
Ooh. Okay.
because it feels like it's gonna get exciting. But I tell you what, we're clocking 30, and yeah, no, we'll return next week with the rest of the draft. We will talk about maybe more potential trades, and hopefully some concrete placement for Aaron Rodgers, some concrete
Yeah.
decisions for
Something
Lamar Jackson, and
good news with that would be good.
something solid. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and thanks as always to my co-host Ethan Monjuri for hopping on, and we will get back to you same time. Peace
All right.
out.
Appreciate y'all.
Catch us next week. Okay.